everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, my name's Holly. It feels like so long since I did a YouTube video. I think it's been like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, which is definitely not okay. But yeah, today I'm going to do a full face, glowy, bronzy, just simple makeup look. I thought it'd be quite nice to do something a little bit different because I always do colourful looks and hopefully it's going to be scorching hot in summer, so yeah. The first thing I like to do is make sure I've moisturised my face so it's nice and hydrated. Then what I like to do is use my iconic London spray. This is the Prep Set Glow Spray and I'm so in love with it. It's so pretty. I went to a festival last weekend and I basically sprayed like everywhere I could with it and it was amazing. You don't need to spray that much, but I kind of go a bit overboard. I can't help it. I like to use this before my makeup and after, especially when I'm doing a glowy look. Also, please ignore this area of my skin. I don't know what is going on, but yeah, definitely having a bad skin day. I'm actually not going to use a primer for today's look. I kind of go off and on primers. At the minute, I'm like, I'm not really feeling them. This spray is actually a prep and set, so I've moisturised my face, used this, and I'm good to go. The foundation I'm going to use is my L'Oreal Infallible foundation. This is called the Stay Fresh Foundation Fights Makeup Meltdown 24 Hours. This foundation is one of my favourite foundations because it gives you that nice glow and a good amount of coverage as well. So, the shade that I use is 145 and it's called Rose Beige. I'm pretty sure it's too dark for me because I was tanned when I bought this, so. But it's okay, we're going to do a bronzy look. I'm just going to work it into my skin. I love this brush. This is the Peaches and Cream PC04 brush. It was actually Erin Rose, who's amazing. She's a makeup YouTuber who got me onto this brush. She'd say in like every video how amazing this brush was, so I was like, okay, I need to try it because I always use a beauty blender. But as soon as I tried this brush, I was like, oh my God. Normally I really don't like using brushes for my foundation, but literally this just kind of melts it into the skin. It doesn't give you any brush marks or anything. Feel better already. I really like to make sure I spend a lot of time blending in my foundation. Like even when it looks blended, I like to just go over it a few times and build it up. I used to just literally slap on my foundation really quickly, but it makes a huge difference if you just work it into the skin. It just helps the other products sit a lot nicer as well. I've just realised I've still got my festival band thingy on my wrist. Yeah, I need to take that off. So that's foundation done. I'm going to do my eyebrows next and I'm going to use my Primark Skinny Brow pencil in the shade Dark Brown. So I'm just brushing up my eyebrows. They definitely need tweezering, so don't judge me please. And I'm going underneath and just outlining the shape. And then I always extend my tail a little bit as well. And then I outline the top of my brow and just give myself more of an arch. And then I start to fill in my brow doing little hair strokes. Again, not going in too harsh. Lastly, just underline the front of my brow. Really, really lightly. So I like to do this bit last. And then go upwards. And you don't want to go too hard with this bit. And I go through with my spoolie to make it look a little bit more natural. I feel really weird talking to you guys this close. I look like a floating head. So now I've done both my brows, I'm going to go in and carve them out with a concealer. I normally use my P. Louise base, but because I'm not going to do anything crazy with the eyes, I'm just going to go in with my Revolution Fast Base Concealer, and I use the shade C4. I'm going to take my Kaylee and Sosu concealer brush. This is what I always use to carve out my brows, and it's the SK05 brush. So I'm just going to put a bit of concealer on the back of my hand, like so. And I like to just start through the front. And this will just clean up any mistakes and kind of make your eyebrow shape look a lot sharper. If some of you haven't tried carving out your eyebrows before, I'd definitely recommend trying it. It just kind of brings out the shape even more. Like you don't have to use anything too thick or heavy. So if you want it to look a bit softer, just use like a light concealer. And then I'm just going to press that concealer all over my lid. So I'm not swiping it, I like to just press it into the skin. The reason why I press in the concealer is because I feel like it gives you a much more kind of smoother finish. If I swipe with my brush, then I feel like it kind of tugs my skin and it can get a little bit kind of, I don't know, textured. I'm just going to use a beauty blender to blend out the edges, and I'll just smooth it over my lid. So the reason I like to do this is because my foundation is always darker than my concealer or eyeshadow bases. So I need to make sure it's kind of seamless. I'm going to highlight my face next, and again I'm going to use my Revolution Fast Base Concealer. This concealer has ended up being my favourite concealer. Like, I love it more than the Primark one, can you believe it? Because it's such good coverage and it doesn't create as much creasing for me. I do smile a lot, so if it's not the right concealer, it just kind of creases and gathers into my lines. So yeah, I love this stuff so much. I'm just going to highlight under my eyes and then bring it out a bit. And then I like to go quite high through my inner corner here, a bit like a reverse contour. And then I'll do my smile lines and just under my nose and my forehead and then the top of my lip, and then I did a little bit on my chin. I'm just going to use my beauty blender to blend it out. I feel like when you're blending it under your eyes, it really helps to look up, so it kind of stretches the skin a little bit. And it won't gather into your lines. I've started putting concealer down my smile lines a little bit as well. I saw Scott Barnes do this on Tati's video, just because I get quite deep smile lines, and I like my smile lines, like they don't bother me, but it kind of helps them not kind of go too dark and shadowy. So it's all blended out. Make sure you've got no lines and your temples are blended out as well. I like to leave the concealer on the top of my nose to dry down a bit. I learnt this technique from Hollie because she always leaves the concealer or any nose contour to dry down a bit. If you struggle with kind of blending out any foundation or any concealer and you feel like it kind of comes off as you're blending it, then this really helps with that, because I used to have that problem all the time. And yeah. Just leave the concealer on to dry. Now I've highlighted and blended it all out, I like to go in with my powder. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with powders. The reason why I feel like I do need powder though is because I do have quite bad pores if you look up close, and as well it stops me from creasing as much. If I use a bad powder or I use too much, it actually makes my creasing worse. I don't know why, but I think it just kind of clings on in between and then it kind of just crumples and it's just not a good look. But a powder that I do really like at the moment is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. This is in the shade Fair. I think I said in my previous video that I did get this abroad, and I don't think we sell it here in the UK, but I'm pretty sure you can get it online. I don't want to apply too much of this because I want to make sure my makeup looks nice and glowy and not too matte. So I put a little bit in my lid, and I'm using quite a small detailed brush. And I'm going to look upwards and just pat it under my eyes, and then bring it down the sides of my nose. Just anywhere that you're oily or you're prone to creasing will really help. And a lot of time that's literally all I do for powder. I don't cake it on or bake a lot of the time. If I want my makeup to last like throughout a whole sweaty night, then I will bake. But yeah, I want to keep it nice and glowy and not too matte. Next, I'm going to bronze my face, and I've been loving the Fenty Beauty bronzer. This is called Sunstalker, and it's in the shade Private Island. I love this packaging so much. So it looks like this inside. The number's rubbed off in this brush, but it's by BH Cosmetics. I've used it so many times, but I love it for bronzing. I'm just going to tap into the pan a little bit. And I'm going to start just where I'd normally contour. So I'm not going to contour, I'm just going to kind of bronze my skin. But I want to keep the highlighted points nice and bright still. So I'm just going to go where I would normally contour. The reason why I love this bronzer is because you can build it up so nicely. Like, so many times I've put my whole brush in the bronzer and I'm like this, and I have like this brown mark, and it's just not a good look. I'm just placing it underneath my jawline too, because we love a snatched jaw. And then on my 5-finger forehead, I'm just buffing it round into the skin, just to make sure I've got no harsh lines. And then I'm just going to take my beauty blender and blend in that concealer on my nose. Now that I've used all of my powders, I'm going to go in with my Iconic spray again and just spray it everywhere. So this will just kind of merge it into the skin and give you a bit more glow again. I want to go back to the eyes, and I'm just going to use the same bronzer in my crease. I'm just popping that in my crease and blending it outwards. I do want it to look natural, but I still want a bit more depth to my eyes. It's such a simple part for your makeup look to do, but it makes such a big difference. Like comparing the two, this side looks so much better. I'm also taking a little bit of that bronzer and running it on my lower lash line. I've just applied some mascara and that's literally the eye look done. I am going to apply some lashes as well because I can't help it. I'm going to use the Pinky Goat Sahar lashes. So I've just applied some glue and waited a few minutes for them to dry. I love these lashes for this look because they're not too dramatic and too heavy, but they're nice and fluffy and wispy. Now for blush, I'm going to use my Primark Pure Blush palette. So I'm going to mix the two shades Hot Pepper and Fever. I never used to like anything shimmery on my blushes, but lately I'm really liking it, especially for a glowy look. So these two together are really nice. So I'm just going to mix the two together, and it will still give you that nice glow, so it's not going to be too matte. I'm going to pull it up. I like to connect it to my bronzer. Next, I'm going to go in with some highlighter, which is so crucial for this look. And I'm actually going to use a Primark highlighter palette. I saw this one a few weeks ago called Glow Getter, and I swatched it and it was amazing. It was only £6. It comes in 6 shades, and I believe there's 2 different palettes. This one I think is a bit more bronzy. I think these shades here are going to look so nice on deeper skin tones. I'm just going to swatch them for you guys. They might be a bit too dark for my skin tone, but they're so, so nice and creamy. Whenever I apply powder highlighters, I never like to use a big brush. I always use this small kind of fluffy Morphe brush. I like to wet it with some water or spray. I'm just being fancy using that one. And I think I'm gonna go in with Miami Vibes and mix it with Sundown, this one here. And I'm just gonna apply it to the high points of my cheeks. Whoa. That one is very gold. Woo, that is so gold. I always tend to use like champagne highlighters, but I thought I'd mix it with that gold shade as well, just because I want to keep this look nice and warm still. I'm going to try the shade Beach Party and just apply that at the top of my brows. I think I'm going to go in with just Miami Vibes for my Cupid's bow. Bit on my chin. Okay, if you're looking for some cheap highlighters and you're on a budget, I definitely recommend this palette because it's basically £1 per highlighter. And it's so creamy, it's not too powdery or anything. I'm going to try this shade here on my inner corner. It's called Ibiza Nights. Yeah. I'm just going to apply some Miami Vibes under my brow. So I've basically highlighted my whole face to the gods, and I don't think I could fit any more highlighter than I have. So I'm going to spray some more of my Iconic Prep Set Glow. Woohoo! Last but not least, I'm going to apply my NYX Suede lip liner in the shade London. So I'm just outlining my lips. I've just used that liner to fill in my lips as well, because I'm going to go in with my Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. This is in the shade Fenty Glow. So this is the finished look. I really hope you guys like it. I'm really proud of how it came out actually, because I didn't know if it's going to look glowy enough on camera, but I I think I definitely achieved that. I've actually really enjoyed doing this tutorial because I'm so used to doing all my colourful looks, but to create something glowy and bronzy I thought it'd be quite nice for summertime, if it happens, fingers crossed. But yeah, I hope you guys like this look as much as I do. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!